The new Guild Wars 2 expansion format relies more and more on notes and journals to tell its stories. Because of this, I believe we truly have some of the most interesting stories this game has ever told, but these stories have also become entirely avoidable by a large section of the player base. My goal with this series is to present these stories in a rearranged chronological order for easy consumption. As with most storytelling of this type, it takes a little interpretation, so I cannot guarantee everything I say is 100% fact, but I do aim to make it interesting. With that said, let us dive into the mysteries of Jantheir, explore the White Mantle's history here, and reacquaint ourselves with an old, self-obsessed foe. To do this, I must first take your mind back to Living World Season 3, deep in the midst of Caudecus' bid for the Crichton throne. Caudecus the Wise, the recently disgraced minister who orchestrated a plot to kill the current reigning monarch Queen Jenna of Crita, is being held officially as a guest by the crown. Here he was held under the watchful eye of the palace guard between the years 1325 AE to 1329 AE, after which he fled the palace. We cannot say exactly what happened during the period of time between his disappearance and his rediscovery later that year in Bloodstone Fen, but we do know that tensions were growing between two disparate factions of the White Mantle, a cult known throughout Crita to worship the Unseen Ones, the ancient race, the Mursaat, a group which Caudecus was soon to be named as Confessor, its leader. These two factions each had a notable figurehead, the first being Minister Caudecus himself. While openly proclaiming his faith, his interest in the White Mantle is mostly fueled by his vanity and lust for power. He hopes to gain control of the Mantle's growing force to wield against Queen Jenna and seize Crita for himself. The second is High Inquisitor Zira, a truly faithful devout who's working diligently behind Caudecus' back to collect the 5 aspects. She hopes to resurrect the Mursaat, Lazarus the Dire. Caudecus has no interest in this, however. The rebirth of a Mursaat would put his leadership in question and undermine his plans to realign the White Mantle's goals to his own. This inspires him to head north, following the path of the White Mantle's founder Saul D'Alessio to the fabled Isles of Jantheir. But first he needed help, which leads us to today's story. Ulrich would seem a natural choice to join the expedition. One of Caudecus' favorite followers, loyal and desperate for his validation. An easy target for Caudecus to control. Tatiana is too desperate for a place to call home and a place to belong. Seeming to value the White Mantle as family, Caudecus could appeal to her desires easily. Lady Villette Wee, godmother to Caudecus' estranged daughter Demi, had no love for the throne, deeming it negligent in its duties to protect the city. Exploiting that and the weakness she saw in her father for his loyalty to the crown, Caudecus exploited her youth, treating her as an adult and becoming a faux father figure. Their ideals were aligned as they became a strange adopted family. Last of all, Judge, the youngest of the group. The boy grew up on the streets, joining the White Mantle to pursue his zealous belief. No family and no connections, Caudecus' reasoning for bringing the boy is unclear. Perhaps his lack of connections were exactly the reason he was chosen, or perhaps it was because the boy could cook, but evidence shows his skills were hardly impressive. These 4 notable figures, along with a number of loyal zealots, follow Caudecus up north to the Isles of Jantheir. I had no predictions or expectations for Jantheir beyond legend and Saul's writings, but the storms are ferocious and the climate is unforgiving. It makes me yearn for a mighty fire in the manor as plates of meats are carried to me on shimmering trays. Fantasies, of course, but I must allow myself to dream of something sweet, should indulgence escape my new lifestyle. What a shame that would be. I'm not sure what Saul found in Jantheir, but the Unseen Ones spoke to him here. The real Golden Ones are not some graven images that spill falsehoods. Saul wrote of treasures, magic, and weapons, places only seen by those lucky enough to be chosen by our true gods. If I follow his path, then perhaps whatever we find here is the advantage I am owed. The Queen's face, laced with guilt as she hands me her crown, is my guiding star. My company is meager, 10 soldiers and Villette. The latter, unfortunately, is displeased with the weather. Her expectations of enlightenment are romantic, which is fine. Keeping her passionate and motivated must remain a priority in my planning. But the others look at her with judgment. That does not help. I am pleased that my followers came when called. Ulrich tells me that Zira is tightening her loyalty while I hide in the shadows, but nobody will take my status. Those here with me in Jantheir see that truth. Hopefully our discoveries will be fruitful in affirming my place in the Golden Path as Confessor, with my enemies dead. Jantheir is unwelcoming indeed. Having sailed their way across Jantheir Bay, which is no small task in itself, to be greeted by the harsh swamplands of Jantheir Sintry must have been quite a shock for Lady Valette. As they cross the river's moor and trudge their way through the marshlands, they come across an altar of sorts. Known to some as the Twins' Table, only what's left can suggest what occurred here. The group continues on, their eyes fixed upon the only surviving structure in the region. We've reached the remnants of something curious. A cathedral of blood. Ruins laced with white mantle iconography, tucked away in the forest and shielded by the storm like a reverent whisper. Saul most certainly was here, and whatever this place once was, his reach was powerful. This mission was set by something greater than me. I was meant to walk this land. While we set up camp, I'm sending Ulrich to the ruins to search for anything he can find. Anything that tells us what happened here. It seems my labors bear more fruit. Ulrich returned to my tent with a locked chest, worn from decades of solitude but sealed shut to protect whatever sat inside. I have him crack the latch, revealing the time-locked contents. Excitement isn't the right word. Validation might be. Town ordinances, letters, receipts, health records. These ruins were a village that was turned into a haven of radical thought, and it was led by Saul's chosen. They called it Gavril, and it meant nothing before Saul filled it with his people. This is the first we've heard of a human settlement this far into Jantheir. An unexpected discovery for everyone involved, but if Saul had anything to do with this, Caudecus' journey would not be in vain. I've started piecing together a decent history of this Gavril. Before Saul's arrival, Gavril was just a settlement of poor bastards who were pushed to the edge of society. Former criminals that couldn't survive in Ascalon, they took their families elsewhere and built a new home for themselves as far as they could walk. At least they knew their value, cast aside with the rest of our debris. But I do pity for them. Surely the common citizens of Divinity's Reach will meet a similar fate if Jenna continues to live a life of naivete. This is why I must correct her. All of them. Gavril's inhabitants were blessed by Saul. Goodness knows they'd probably rot without him in such an unforgiving land. I have deciphered that when Saul was pulled back to his divine operation, he left some of his most devout in charge. Can't imagine how blessed they felt. The village blossomed in ways it wouldn't have otherwise. And the cost of them, well, I applaud the creativity. Blood in exchange for eternal light is a modest offering. I'm still unsure of what Saul discovered here, but the pages continue to turn. There's one feeling that I can't shake, and it's that Gavril and Saul's history is fated to be parallel to myself and Kryta. This is a message from the highest order. His ego only grows further, each success confirming to him and perhaps Tatiana that they are indeed on a righteous path. Still, he is unable to see past his own lust for power. Everything he uncovers is in some way pulling his mind back to his goals. Hoarding this discovery for himself, the Confessor delves deeper into Gavril's history. This is what he found. To the kind people of Gavril, I thank you. I thank you for your hospitality. I thank you for sharing your warm homes and your delicious food, for welcoming the White Mantle on our journey to enlist light in humanity's favor, to crush those that threaten our ability to thrive. You are kind people. You deserve a comfortable path. You deserve forgiveness for your past. I hope that I can deliver the repose that you, as beings of light, are owed. While my departure from Gavril is imminent and mourned, I'll be leaving some of my followers to look after your humble village and preserve your freedom from interference. The unseen ones have spoken to me here. Among the rocky cliffs and treacherous waves, they have given me a mission. What is that mission, you may ask? To protect you. I'll be leaving Rhea Ingham, one of my very most devout, as my liaison and your guide. She will watch over and nurture you. Place your worries in her hand. She is the shepherd and you are the lamb. Your futures are opulent and laced with prestige. Sol D'Alessio. A letter penned by Sol D'Alessio himself. One can only imagine the light that shone in Caudecus' eyes as he held on to this. No doubt he sees himself as Saul may have before his downfall. If only Caudecus had paid attention to how Saul's life ended, perhaps lives could have been saved in the months to come. Flicking through the chest further, the Confessor comes across a blood-stained logbook. Degraded and damaged from age, its contents are simple. Page after page of nondescript numbers, each one tied to a week. Week 21, 1. Week 29, 1. Week 36, 1. As he thumbs through the pages, the numbers grow only more frequent, the writing more desperate. Week 139, 4. Week 140, 2. Week 141, 1. Week 141, 2. It is of no doubt to Caudecus what these numbers mean. The Blood Cathedral, the Twins' Table. This wouldn't be the first time the Mursaat had turned to sacrifice atop a bloodstone. The next note confirms this. Given the rising security threat and environmental instability on the Isle, all villagers are required to report to the inn by nightfall. Each individual may bring one personal effect so long as it fits on your person. The White Mantle will provide any necessary supplies, such as food, bedding, and clothing. This is for storage purposes, as the inn was not built to house this many patrons. We appreciate your patience, and remember that your longevity is assured by Saul's golden trail. Saul is clearly still glorified in the town, even as the danger grows, even as it becomes more obvious that something is wrong. It's not just the wildlife causing these disappearances. Some try to flee, most are in denial, and it is not just the townspeople who are worried now. Saul, this will need to be brief as I believe my life to be at risk. The twins have been growing more and more impatient with my methods. Usually quite tractable, their voices have simmered to a calm eeriness that keeps me upright at all times, positioned so that the window and door are always in sight. I don't even leave my room without guards most mornings. I suspect that they are bored with the ritual now, working less fervently to hide their victims' screams from the other villagers than they did at the start. It's a bloodbath. And that brings me to the villagers. They're finally opening their eyes to the change in tone here. They won't enter any White Mantle structure unless ordered or dragged. They've stopped eating our food. A few of them have even managed to escape. It was going so well until now, too. They were enamored with the results of our rebuilding efforts. I suppose too many have gone missing in such rapid succession. It's hard to blame every vanishing on a Valraven. I've tried to slow our movements, but I worry that this is causing a rupture that I cannot fix. The twins are done with me. I beg of you, come back and control this. Rhea. Rhea, desperate for her life, can see what's coming. The White Mantle have been sacrificing townspeople atop the bloodstone, and either the twins are growing bloodthirsty or the unseen ones are getting desperate for souls. The Mursaat you see are quite different from the all-powerful gods that Saul preached them to be. They were in fact a race fearing for their lives. Driven by prophecy told by the dragon Glint, the Mursaat needed power to keep the door of Kamali shut, for if it were to open, it would spell the end of their kind. To do this, they needed the power of life itself, sacrifices atop bloodstone, sacrifices they were growing more desperate for. Anything to keep that door closed. Sadly for Rhea, it seems she would serve her unseen gods in death as well as life. We regret to inform the people of Gavril that our guiding light so ardent has passed. Justicar Rhea, our eyes are on your back as you walk up the golden path. A battle against illness was brief and sadly it was quickly lost, but every swing was radiant. A memorial will be held for Rhea in the coming days. Listen for song. You'll know what to do. Whether by faith or by fear, the townspeople would still honor their captors, singing their spirits to the mists even though their souls would never reach it, trapped for eternity in bloodstone. Caudecus, however, cannot see how the town's dedication to Saul and the Mursaat caused their undoing. His primary focus remains the acquisition of power, and he's about to find himself tempted further. I've discovered jewels in the garbage. The writings of Saul himself. He sought and found a city with golden walls. He met the unseen ones there, and they opened their gates and let him inside. They gifted him with sight. Bavanisos. That is what he found in Jantheir. That is where the path was lit. I must find it. I must drench myself in it. It was meant for me. The sight, or to give it its full name, the gift of true sight, let those most faithful see what cannot be seen, to lay eyes on the unseen ones, to truly know the Mursaat. But even beyond that, Saul had been welcomed into Bavanisos, the city of the Mursaat. Described by the White Mantle's founder Saul de Lesio as the Golden City, it was fabled to be built of alabaster and golden filigree, its towers and walls extending into the heavens. This is the hook Caudecus needs to keep going. He believes this is why he was called here. He knows he is owed this. But what he is owed wouldn't come so easily. Bavaniso salutes us so completely, and my weaker half wants to doubt its existence, but doubt is failure. I've sent my entourage along the path Saul described numerous times to no avail, but they continue to march. Last trip I sent the cook with them. The urchin calls himself Judge. Upon the party's return a few days later, the boy described a debilitating headache that struck midway through their crossing to the next isle. Only he was afflicted, but the headache grew worse the further they rode. Tatiana turned them around when his nose started bleeding. This must be a test of some sort. A puzzle for me to unravel. Something is amiss in Jantheir, and we, the commander, know what. Despite what the White Mantle believe, the resurrection of Lazarus the Dire would not make him the last of his kind. In 1336 AE, 5 years into the future, we would come across the Wizard's Court, a group of mages who've watched over history since time immemorial. Deep in the Wizard's Tower, the floating stronghold at the center of the human city of Garenhof, lives another, Mabon. A senior member of the Wizard's Court and one of the founding members of the Mesmer Collective, he's taken it upon himself to seal Bavanisos away, going so far as to instruct other court members not to go there. Even visiting Jantheir is heavily restricted. There's no way Caudecus could have known this, but he would not be the one to suffer for his ignorance. A messenger arrived from the city. I worried that with Zira's passing, her followers would not bow to me, but the rest of the White Mantle still yearns for my voice like a storm yearns to tear the earth asunder. They need me in Lake Doric. Another destined path lit beneath my feet. My mission in Jantheir is not done. Until Bavanisos is found, the search must continue. I'll be leaving Ulrich and a few of my most devout behind to fulfill this need. My face, however, needs to be seen. Ever the egotist, Caudecus' pilgrimage comes to an end not with enlightenment, but instead a call to power. Zira, killed by the Pack Commander and a small contingent of his allies, has opened a power vacuum within the White Mantle. One too juicy for Caudecus to deny himself. Returning to Kryta with Lady Villette, he leaves a small group to finish the work for him. The Confessor left last week. Took everyone with him except a few of us. Tatiana would cut her own arm off and eat it if it made him happy, so she's elated to see Caudecus' mission in Jantheir to an end. Left Judge with us too, but I'm worried he did that because the kid's a crappy cook. Too scared to kill a rabbit, so I guess we're eating potatoes until I can get out and hunt for us myself. They didn't leave us with much, but we wouldn't be on this path if it wasn't the right one. Caudecus wants us to keep looking for the city, but we can't cross to the other isle without a headache or a nosebleed. We're also dealing with some unwanted guests. Didn't realize there were Kodan in these parts. We've managed to stay out of sight at least. Looks like some type of hunting party, so I'm not too worried about it, but we'll stay out of their way. Judge saw them row inland, probably live somewhere on the mainland. Gonna lay low till they leave. We'll make our next arrangements after and see if we can't get around whatever curse is keeping us from moving further in. And that's how they live, abandoned in the cold marshlands of Jantheir's century. Time passes. 1 month leads to 1 year. 1 year leads into 2. 2 years lead into 5. 6 years pass, but still they hold their faith, still believe that Caudecus is out there walking his righteous path. Little do they know Caudecus died years ago, not long after returning to Kryta. Failing a bombardment of Divinity's Reach, coming clean about having his wife murdered, and killing his only daughter Demi, Lady Villette's godchild, in front of her. He meets his end as a bloodstone-crazed monster at the hand of the Pact Commander. From 1330 AE to 1336 AE they waited, living their difficult life. Judge grows from a boy to a man, Ulrich grows weary, and Tatiana grows only more zealous. This once-loved journal is now in tatters. Multiple pages are missing. It's been at least a few years since the Confessor left us to complete his mission. When I lack inspiration, I look to the note he left me, my divine ordinance to carve his path while he leads the march against our enemies in Kryta. Find a way into Bavanisos, the city of the unseen. Saul has guided me here, and our salvation will be revealed. Open the gate. Until this mission is complete, we will continue to search Jantheir. This is my only mission. I failed too many others in life before. I will do the Confessor proud, and Mother will regret calling me visionless and banishing me from my home. There's no sign of any city here, just the ruins of Gavril. I wish I knew more about this destroyed place and the people that lived here before us. Caudecus had found a number of records, but he burned them all right before he left. He said that they contained secrets from Saul that were meant for his eyes only, and that we were not worthy. Judge has expressed some skepticism of this, especially as the years have passed, but Tatiana is devout. She prays every single day. We managed to carve out a nice enough home here in the remnants of Gavril. While most of the ruins are inaccessible, Judge was able to clear a path into the old village inn. Most of the building's interior is blocked by rubble, but there is enough space. Tatiana has her own room, and Judge and I sleep in the kitchen. Kitchen being one pot for boiling and a basket of food. It's a productive home. While Judge and I were avoiding a small Kodan party that's ventured into the aisle, a blast of energy knocked us from our feet. My ears rang and my nose started to bleed, just like the last time we tried to cross further into the bay. We rushed back to Tatiana. We searched the aisle, avoiding the Kodan, but it was unchanged. Right before we turned back towards the inn, Judge's attention snapped to the northern bay. Off in the distance, probably a day's row away, a rock formation peeked out from the fog. I'd never noticed it before. My mind swam, searching through images from our prior voyages, days spent fishing at this exact spot. It was as if that rock had been there all along, but it had a freshness that gave me a headache. Judge rubbed his temple, his head hurt too. Tatiana recalled how certain mesmer enchantments can give you a similar headache, especially those that manipulate our thoughts. Perhaps, she said, we were just under a spell. Possessed by otherworldly beings known as the Cryptus and forced to take up arms against the court, Mabon dies, put down by his closest allies. As they prepare to mourn their loss, the illusion shatters. His vigilant protection of Bavanisos is at an end. The three cannot believe their eyes. It's been there this whole time. Excitement swells. Finally, progress can be made. Finally, something can be done. Tatiana, ecstatic, writes to tell the confessor. But the letter goes unsent. Caudecus, we can't wait for you any longer. It's been years since your last messenger arrived, and I suppose writing another letter that'll go unsent is useless. We don't know what you're doing, but I know in the core of my soul that it is valiant and necessary. That means something. Knowing those things is why I wake up every morning and why I continue to carry this torch. Not once have I let it dim. All these years since you left hiding and the flame still flickers. We'll follow your final order to locate Bavanisos and open that gate until our bodies are shriveled and raw. Your name, my liege. It will be shouted. Last Auric attempted to cross the bay, his nose no longer bled. Whatever curse fell over it is gone. We venture on in your name. The time is now. The others called us vapid, but when we arrive at your side with an army, the White Mantle will once again rise to power. And so they make ready, packing what little they have and setting off, north to the next isle. What they find there is nothing like they could have imagined, but that's a story for next time. I want to thank anyone who got this far. Following this story as it came out patch by patch was one of the most rewarding experiences I've had in this game. We'll be back after the expansion announcement for part 2 of this story. I look forward to sharing it with you. Any support you can give, be it sharing this with a friend, a like, subscription or comment, it's all appreciated. I'd love to keep working on stuff like this. But for now, it was great catching you, and I hope to see you all next time.